Hello everybody, and welcome to a brand new video. I know it's been a while. Anyways, this is the Gears of War 5 tech test, which officially has been released as of July 19th, 2019. This is basically a multiplayer beta, I guess you could say. It's a sort of stress test to see how far we push the servers for the Coalition, which are they are the developers of Gears of War 5. Anyways, I'll go ahead and click enter to play. And on this video, I'm going to show you a benchmark on my PC, because this is the PC version. As you can see, benchmark, you can boot camp versus. If you click on versus, it'll connect. And we'll wait. It is a little wonky. It's a lot easier to find matches on arcade rather than ranked. Arcade is definitely a little bit different. It's not the traditional Gears of War, you know, you wall bounce shotgun all the time. Like, you're not going to be using shotgun a lot on arcade, so if you're a more veteran player, whether you're a pro or you just, you know, you've always played Gears of War competitively, you know, at home, then you may or may not like it. I don't mind it, but I mean, I always want to go back to, you know, the wall bouncing and shotguns and all that. I mean, it's basically what made Gears of War multiplayer very different from other shooters. As of right now, for the ranked options, there's just King of the Hill and Escalation. If you don't know what those are, just honestly, just look it up. They're both one of my favorite game modes on Gears of War. If you want to know how to access the options menu on the Gears 5 tech test, by default you have to press the number 2 key on your keyboard, and you'll see on the bottom right here, press 2, and this little menu will pop up. You can only use customize, news, help, and options as of right now. You go to customize, you can customize your characters. If you click on them, they'll give a little backstory and their name, and you can go to skins, banners, expressions. Nice. Yeah, it's a little corny if you ask me. You see the locust one, or swarm one. Do they? Oh Jesus, they do the same thing. God, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little cringy. You can do the same with your weapons. These are all the weapons in the tech test. You got your Lancer, the tried and tested Nasher shotgun, snub pistol, Boltok revolver, boom shot, drop shot, Enforcer, M-bar, hammer burst assault rifle, a new Lancer variant which has a grenade launcher attachment, the long shot sniper rifle, the marksman rifle, the overkill shotgun, the retro Lancer, a new weapon, the breaker mace, another new weapon, the Talon auto pistol, another new weapon, the claw light machine gun, and the torque bow. And as of right now, these are all the weapons that are currently available. As to whether they will add more on the game when it's fully released in September, I have no idea. Anyways, I just wanted to show you guys that, but I will show you the options in my video settings. Let's see, right here. Okay, so I'm running at 1080p. My vertical VSync is on, but I should probably turn that off because I am running at a 144 Hertz monitor, and by average, I think I only get about maybe 80, 90 frames per second, so it kind of defeats the purpose of using vertical VSync. Plus, if you do use vertical VSync, you get input lag. So if you want to press a button as fast as possible and you want the fastest response, preferably you would probably want that turned off. Field of view, this is kind of a little controversial option because obviously the more it's turned up, the more you can kind of see around you. Obviously Xbox players do not get that option as far as I know. At least on Gears 4 they didn't. I'll click on the show stats all. It shows you your frames per second as you're playing, and I'll just click on all just because you can change your brightness and your HUD safe zone. You look at the texture settings, everything's set at ultra. The detail settings, same thing. Animation quality, I leave it auto. It'll dynamically balance the animation fidelity, so obviously if there's a lot of crap going on, like there's a lot of shooting and explosions and particle effects, tying that all in with the animation, I mean, leaving it at auto, especially when you're trying to play competitively, I would leave it at auto. Just you know, play it safe. Shadow settings, everything at ultra. I do have ambient inclusion enabled at ultra. The intensity, I think by default, is at 7, I think, maybe 6. I turn it down to 5. I don't like it too high. Environmental settings, everything's on ultra. Particle spawn rate, default is by 10. I leave it at 10. Post-process settings, everything is on ultra. Except for motion blur. I have that completely turned off because it's more, I see motion blur as more of a movie effect rather than something that can be used in a game. And again, it goes back to, you know, when you're trying to play a game competitively or you're just trying to really just, you want to win, having that blur effect, it doesn't really help you really too well. Yeah. So yeah, I just leave this all on. And if you do highlight the option, it does tell you exactly how much your GPU, your CPU, and your VRAM, how much it uses, you know, moderate, minor, major. It also gives you a little info on what it is. So I'll go ahead and apply settings because I got rid of the... Oh, and this is another thing too, the inactivity bug. It's kind of annoying. So basically, if you're not like pressing buttons or moving your mouse or whatever, then the game will just consider you inactive. And as you can imagine, if you're searching for a match and maybe you went to go get a drink of water and you come back, you know, and then all of a sudden you're not searching for a match. So yeah, it's kind of annoying. Anyways, I'll click on benchmark. Hopefully this should run pretty well. I already did a test on it before, but I'm going to do it again. And after I do it on the 1080p resolution, I'm going to bump it up all the way to 4K after this one, just to kind of give you guys a showcase as to what my PC can do in this tech test. So far, so good. It's really kind of staying around the 80 to 90 range. It has not jumped up to 100 yet. Oh, it jumped down to 70 right there. Using about 4 gigs of video memory for my video card. I have 8 gigs. I'm using a GTX 1080. So that's only half of it. So yeah, so I'm getting pretty good average so far. 88 frames per second on average. Ooh, it jumped up to 130 right there. Look at that. It happened very briefly, but it was pretty good. Okay, so now it's over. As you can see, if you can see my mouse cursor, my 1080 right here, my CPU is an Intel Core i7 7700K running at 4.2 gigahertz. My total system RAM is 16 gigs. So I have plenty to spare. And I'm going to need that when running at 4K. Anyways, my average frame rate is 91.2, which is kind of weird because before it was 89 when I did another test. So it actually bumped up a little bit for some reason. Kind of weird. But look at this though. Average CPU frame rate in parentheses game, it says 235.8 frames per second. That's really good. Wow. Naturally, when I run at 4K, I'd have no idea what's going to be, so I think I'll go ahead and switch to the 4K test right now. Okay, now I switched it to 4K, so I'll go ahead and show you. Go to Options, Video. And as you can see, it's at 4K. Now, obviously, a few settings had to be changed, so I can try to maintain that 4K resolution as well as the 60 frames per second at bare minimum. So as you can see, there's right here, everything's basically turned down to medium. I better go ahead and switch that to probably 4 for the anisotropic filtering. Detail settings I left at high. I still left the animation quality at auto. I'm gonna go ahead and switch this back to medium as well. Some of this stuff didn't actually switch over, I don't know why. So, yeah. So my goal, basically, is to maintain 60 frames per second and still have the 4K resolution look pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and benchmark and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, then we'll go ahead and switch more settings and see if we can find that sweet spot. Okay, so right off the bat, I am not getting 30 frames per second. Or 60 frames, excuse me, not 30 frames. Now keep in mind, remember, I'm using my GTX 1080. I don't have a Ti version. So that extra VRAM and the processing power on that graphics card I do not have. Now this still looks really beautiful. Unfortunately, I am not getting the 60 frame target that I wanted. So, my average frame rate was 39.6 frames per second. Not quite what I had in mind, but it's to be expected. We're running 4 times the resolution of 1080p. So, trying to maintain that 60 frames is, well, it's really difficult, to say the least. Sorry about that, guys. I had some technical difficulties. The game started to crash. So anyways, I went back to my settings. I switched everything to medium, or, you know, a lot lower, basically. I turned off ambient occlusion quality completely. I turned depth of field all the way to low. You can't turn it off for some reason. So yeah, we'll go ahead and try the benchmark. Now just keep in mind too, part of the reason why maybe I'm not getting such a high benchmark is because I am recording, so that does take up some of the, you know, the CPU power or the GPU power or whatever, you know, so go ahead and start it. So it's a little bit better. When I did do a benchmark test without recording this, it was actually going around 60 frames per second average, or around maybe, you know, maybe 58 frames per second average, somewhere around that range, without recording. But since I'm recording now, you know, it'll jump all the way down to like maybe 40, 39, all the way up to 60. So overall, I still think it's a lot better than the last 4K test. And so far right now, it's going pretty good. So the average frame rate actually jumped up 10 frames per second. So instead of 39 frames per second, it's 49. So that's actually pretty good. And as I said before, if I do it without recording, it'll actually jump up another 10 or 15 frames per second. So with that said, this will be the end of this video. This is just a sort of benchmarking showcase video. I'm not going to show any actual real gameplay. And if I do, it's only going to be in 1080p just because it's a lot easier to record and edit and all that kind of stuff. So with that said, thank you guys for watching my video, and I will see you next time.